Before we get into the video, part 2 is in my description. Go check it out. So, let's get into it. 1986. Taylor had one of the most dominant seasons by a defensive player ever. He led the league with a whopping 20.5 sacks. To top it all off, he won the MVP. One of just 2 defensive players, too. He was also declared Defensive Player of the Year for the 3rd time. The Giants capped off that season with a 14-2 record. They carried that momentum into the playoffs. They outscored Washington and San Francisco 66-3 combined in the NFC playoffs. Taylor appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated the week leading up to Super Bowl 21. The Giants persevered through a slow start against Denver and came out on top 39-20. Taylor prevented a touchdown at the goal line on a roll-up by Denver quarterback John Elway. With the Super Bowl dub, Taylor finished his completely unprecedented start to his career. He won the Defensive Rookie of the Year award, Defensive Player of the Year award a record 3 times, was an All-Pro First Team 6 times, and was the first defensive player to unanimously win the MVP. After the win, though, Taylor didn't feel excited like he should have. He said, "When the Super Bowl was over, everyone was so excited, but by then I felt deflated. I'd won every award. I had my best season, finally won the Super Bowl. I was on top of the world, right? So what could be next? Nothing. The thrill is the chase to get to the top. Every day the excitement builds and builds and builds. And then when you're finally there and the game is over, nothing." The Giants were thought to have a bright future after their 1986 championship run, but that was far from the truth. The next season, when they went 6-9 in the strike-shortened season, Taylor was angry. "The Giants are losing," he said, "and I'm losing $60,000 a week." He ended the season with 12 sacks and just 12 games played. He didn't play in the 13th game due to a hamstring injury. That even ended his games played streak at 106. The Giants looked to get back to their championship ways in 1988, but Taylor was suspended 30 days because of using cocaine. Taylor's risky lifestyle was becoming an increasing concern for fans and team officials. The Giants went 2-2 when Taylor was gone, but when Taylor returned, he wrecked everybody. He had 15.5 sacks in just 12 games. The season also contained some of the more memorable moments of Taylor's career. In a crucial late-season playoff game with playoff implications against the New Orleans Saints, Taylor played through a torn pectoral muscle to record 7 tackles, 3 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. Taylor's presence in the lineup was important as the Giants' offense was having trouble mounting drives and was dominated in time of possession. TV cameras repeatedly cut to the sidelines to show him in extreme physical pain as he was being attended to by the Giants' staff. Taylor had already developed a reputation for playing through pain. In a 1983 game against the Eagles, the team's training staff had to hide his helmet to prevent the injured Taylor from returning to the field. Taylor's shoulder was so injured that he had to wear a harness to keep it in its place. The Giants held on for a 13-12 win, and Parcells later called Taylor's performance the greatest thing I ever saw. However, the Giants narrowly missed the playoffs in 1988 at 10-6 by losing tiebreakers with the Eagles in their division and the Rams for the wild card. In 1989, Taylor recorded 15 sacks. He was forced to play the latter portion of the season with a fractured tibia, suffered a 34-24 loss to the 49ers in Week 12, which caused him to sit out the second half of several games. Despite his off-the-field problems, Taylor remained popular among his teammates and was voted defensive co-captain along with Carl Banks. The two filled the defensive captain spot vacated by the retired Harry Carson. The retirement of 9-time Pro Bowler Carson broke up the Giants' linebacker corps of Carson, Reasons, Banks, and Taylor, which spearheaded the team's defense nicknamed the Big Blue Wrecking Crew in the 1980s. The Giants went 12-4 and advanced to the playoffs. In an exciting down-to-the-wire game, the Rams eliminated the Giants 19-13 in the first round, despite Taylor's 2 sacks and 1 forced fumble. Taylor held out of training camp before the 1990 season, demanding a new contract with a salary of $2 million per year. Talks dragged into September with neither side budging, and as the season approached, Taylor received fines at the rate of $2,500 a day. He signed a 3-year, $5 million contract, making him the highest-paid defensive player in the league, just 4 days before the season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. Despite sitting out training camp and the preseason, Taylor recorded 3 sacks and a forced fumble against the Eagles. He finished with 10.5 sacks and earned his 10th Pro Bowl in as many years, although the season marked the first time in Taylor's career that he was not selected to the All-Pro team. The Giants started out 10-0 and finished with a 13-3 record. In the playoffs, the Giants defeated the Bears 31-3 and faced the rival 49ers in the NFC Championship game. They won 15-13. after Taylor recovered a key fumble late in the game to set up Mark Barr's game-winning field goal. And Super Bowl 25, they played the Buffalo Bills and won one of the more entertaining Super Bowls in history, 20-19, after Buffalo's Scott Norwood missed a potential game-winning field goal as time expired, which would start the Bills' 4-game losing streak in a row in the Super Bowl. Now let's get into his final years of decline from 1991 to 1993. Following the 1990 season, Parcells, with whom Taylor had been very close, retired, and the team was taken over by Ray Handley. 1991 marked a steep decline in Taylor's production. It became the first season in his career in which he had failed to make the Pro Bowl squad, after setting a then record by making it in his first 10 years in the league. Taylor finished with 7 sacks in 14 games, and the Giants' defense, who was still respectable, was no longer one of the top units in the league. Taylor rebounded in the early stages of what many thought would be his final season in 1992. Though close to 9 games, Taylor was on pace for 10 sacks, and the Giants were 5-4. However, a ruptured Achilles tendon suffered in a game on November 8, 1992 against Green Bay sidelined him for the final 7 games, during which the team went 1-6. Before the injury, Taylor had missed only 4 games due to injury in his 12-year career. Though, the 1992 season and ensuing offseason, Taylor was non-committal about his future, alternately saying he might retire, then later hinting he wanted a longer-term contract. Taylor returned to the 1993 season, enticed by the chance to play with the new coach, Dan Reeves, and determined not to end his career due to an injury. The Giants had a resurgent season in 1993. They finished 11-5 and competed for the top NFC playoff seed. Taylor finished with 6 sacks, and the Giants' defense led the NFL in fewest points allowed. They defeated the Minnesota Vikings 17-10 in the opening round of the playoffs. The next week, on January 15, 1994, in what would be Taylor's final game, the Giants were beaten badly, 44-3, by the San Francisco 49ers. As the game came to a conclusion, television cameras drew in close on Taylor, who was crying. He announced his retirement at the post-game press conference, saying, "I think it's time for me to retire. I've done everything I can do. I've been to Super Bowls, I've been to the playoffs. I've done things that other people haven't been able to do in this game before. After 13 years, it's time for me to go." Taylor ended his career with 1,089 tackles, 132.5 sacks, 9 interceptions, 134 return yards, 2 touchdowns, 33 forced fumbles, 11 fumble recoveries, and 34 fumble return yards. And there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.